Hey there. Thank you so much for choosing to listen to the Central Kentucky Faces and Places podcast. My name is RK Cox. Let me welcome you to episode number 1. Hopefully many more to come for this. So I'm really excited. And once again, just thank you so much for choosing to take your time to listen to this podcast. My hope and my goal with this is to celebrate the people, the places, the events, all the small towns, whatever it may be of the Central Kentucky area, Lexington, the surrounding areas, just basically anywhere around here that we all know and love so much. So if you're in the area, a lot of this stuff may be familiar, and to give you some more insights on some local businesses and people that you probably already know about. And if you're not in the area thinking about coming here, it's just great to kind of know some more areas and some places and things to do and stuff that's going on in the Central Kentucky area. So just a little bit about me. I am born and raised in Lexington. My family, we now live in Georgetown. We moved away for a while, but found our way back here. We love it so much that we really just couldn't stay away for long. So we lived in Indiana and Tennessee, and it took us just about 3 or 4 years, and we were already back here. So we love it so much. So before we get into this episode, 3 things that would be great if you could do. 1, no matter what you're listening to, whatever platform you're on, Apple, Amazon, Spotify, whatever, please like it, follow it, whatever that platform asks you to do. That would be great. Leave a review, a comment, suggestion, whatever. Just let me know, how we can make this better. So that would mean the world to me if you could do that. Number 2, whoever's on the podcast, I'm going to put links to their social media, to their websites, specials, deals, events, whatever they have. Please go support them. These people have taken time out of their day to join us on the podcast. They want people to get to know them better, know their business better. And it would just be wonderful if you're like, hey, yeah, we can definitely support you, support a Central Kentucky local business. And number 3, just let me know if you want to be on the podcast as well. You can send me a message, send me an email. All of that information will be in the show notes. I'll have links to my social media as well and the show's social media. Give us a follow. Just bombard us with love. That would be great. All right, so on to the show here. My first guest of the podcast, episode number 1, is somebody, it's going to be hard to top, to be honest with you. She's been just about everywhere in the state. If you look at her blog online, there's not really an area she has not been to or seen. She loves local businesses, supports them just basically every day of her life. She writes about them. She's got great photos of them. She does a creators market that we'll talk about in this episode as well. So definitely go check out everything she's got. Please welcome Marie McLamb.
Welcome to the Central Kentucky Faces and Places podcast.
All right, Marie. Well, thank you so much for coming and joining me today with the Central Kentucky Faces and Places podcast. I'm glad to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Great. So let's start off with just where are you originally from? Are you from the area here? Because you know a lot about the local communities and everything. So I didn't know if you kind of grew up here or if you moved here or kind of what's your story from that end?
Yeah, so I am from Lexington, Kentucky, and I grew up here out on the north side near the horse park.
Oh, nice.
And I actually ended up in Alabama for a while.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, unexpectedly, kind of. I guess I thought I was only going to be there for a couple of years. I ended up there for more.
Yeah.
But that was, I guess, what kind of ended up making me have more pride in my Kentucky state. Because, when you're in a place and you live in a place, a lot of people, I would say, don't appreciate it as much.
Sure.
As they might if they leave. And, I missed all the blue and I missed all the UK and I missed all the Derby and all those things.
Right.
That Kentucky is known for. So I think moving away actually grew my appreciation and my pride for my home state.
That's awesome. Yeah, it is. And I've lived out of state, went to school out of state. I think when you get away, you realize just how beautiful it is here.
Mm-hmm.
And all the stuff you're talking about, like UK and the Derby and all that all of that stuff as well. But just the absolute beauty of it. When people come through this area, that's one thing they always mention, especially this time of year in the fall with the trees turning and everything.
Yes.
It's so gorgeous here. So
Yes, it's absolutely beautiful, and if you get onto some of the back roads, it's, like, mesmerizing, and you almost feel like you're driving through a movie scene. It is so beautiful here, and we have, I think, an extra beautiful fall this year.
yeah, it is. It is so nice. We haven't had a lot of rain or anything, which is good and bad, but it's just been gorgeous around here.
Yes. Yes, and, we take for granted the horses and the pastures and the rolling fields, but you have anyone come into town, friends or family, and they're like, "Wow, this is gorgeous, and there's so many horses," and we're like, yeah, don't don't doesn't everybody have that?"
Yeah, and
But they don't, and so it's really something that we can appreciate and be proud of.
that's something that you're huge on as well. So Marie runs the Backroad Bluegrass Blog. She
Mhm.
just celebrated her 5-year blog anniversary with over 120 blogs and still going. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
That is absolutely incredible. So when you talk about the back roads and everything, I'm sure you know the ins and outs of just about everywhere with everywhere you've been.
Well, I'm still discovering. I mean, I really am. One of the things about this job that I've created for myself is that I'm still discovering. And every time I turn another corner and I'm like discovering a new town, and you think you know Georgetown or you think you know Paris or whatever, but things change
Right.
and new things happen and new things pop up. And so, I can blog about something 2 years ago, and it's gonna be different if I go back, again today. There's gonna be new things and growing things and new murals and new businesses. So, it's always kind of a surprise for me, and, I'm always just amazed by what we have so close by us.
Well, that's awesome that you get to see, and it's not so much growth because a lot of our small towns in the area, they like to stay small, which is awesome. That's
Mhm.
what you want with those. But just seeing like updates and how different buildings are being used and stuff is really neat to just see how some older small towns do that and stuff. So it's
Yes.
interesting. You get the ongoing job of checking back in and seeing
Yeah.
and then you can blog about it. So it's great. You're just always having more work to do. So
Yes, yeah, sometimes well, back when I first started, I'm like, "Am I gonna run out of things to talk about Kentucky?" And I'm like, "I cannot even get my mind around everything that I can talk about
oh my god,
Kentucky." There's just so much,
it,
so that's
it
pretty awesome.
that is neat. That's neat. So what got you started with the blog? So you're in Alabama. Then you come back at some point, and
Mhm.
do you just immediately pick up the blog, or is there what kind of started the whole thing?
It wasn't immediate, but I will say I got the bug in Alabama because
Hmm.
of what I was saying, where, I was kind of missing it. I always wanted to come back. My family lives here. But I'm an artist. My sisters are artists. So I've always been into art
Hmm.
and that sort of thing and small business. And so when I came back to Kentucky, I'm like, I should kind of start writing about this or tell more people
Sure.
about this. I want them to know. But it took a couple years, and finally I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna do it, because I had a job, and it takes a long time to blog. That's not an easy thing to do.
Sure.
Um, so yeah, I was just like, okay, I'm doing it, and I figured out a name, and I just started writing, and it just grew and grew and grew. So it's yeah hard to believe I have this many blogs
100.
behind me. Yeah, but I really enjoy it. I love it. I think the deal is I have such a passion for it
Hmm.
that it doesn't feel like a job for me, even though I work a lot and um, but it doesn't feel that much like a job because I love it so much. So that's wow, that's a really good thing to have for a career.
And that's just like the old saying, if you love it and you're passionate about it, it's not even work then. It's not work at all. So it's just fun. So it's what you love to do. That's great. And I was just on the site the other day looking at some stuff, and I was telling you before we started recording, I said you could literally just fall down a rabbit hole and just be on that site for hours in a great way. Like it's kind of like when we were talking about being on those back roads, you kind of take a new
Mm-hmm.
turn and you find
Mm-hmm.
something new. So,
Well, yeah, thank you.
yeah, it was great. I loved it. I kind of snapped out of it after about an hour, and I was like, oh my gosh, I got stuff to do. So yeah, kind of talk about the breakdown of the website or the blog, excuse me. Just like you've kind of got it by city and stuff to do or eats and stuff like that. So kind of
Mm-hmm.
the lay of the land on the blog.
Yeah, sure. So you go onto my homepage, and what I'm really excited about, I just had the blog kind of revamped lately, and it has an interactive Kentucky map on it, which I have always wanted. I had that in my mind. I'm like, I want to be able to click on an area and see what is there.
Sure.
So there is an interactive Kentucky map on there that you can click on, and there's 4 sections, kind of north, south, east, west, more or less. Um, so if you're thinking, oh, I want to go to Western Kentucky, well, then you click on it and you see Owensboro and Paducah and those sort of things. Um, so I really love that you can click on the areas, and then I've kind of have categories also. So I
Mhm.
have like eats and drinks, explore, experience. I added kind of bourbon and wine in there because they're so big in Kentucky. I kind
Is
of yeah,
it?
yeah, I know, right? I kind of added an extra category to encompass that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so eats and drinks is obvious. Explore is more like the small towns, and you can put in Georgetown, you can put in Paris. I have a little search bar. It says what interests you. You put in
Mhm.
whatever interests you, and all the blogs I've written about it come up. Experience tends to be more about like hiking, farmers markets, that sort of thing.
Mhm.
So, kind of hopefully whatever you're interested in when you come into Kentucky or live in Kentucky, you can find it on there.
We will be right back. You need something to take a birthday party to the next level? Or do you have an event coming up and need something for kids to do that's safe, fun, and clean? Then you need to reach out to Magical Inflatables today. They have everything you need from regular bounce castles, water slides, an elegant all-white bounce house, and even a massive pirate ship. Yep. So check them out on Facebook. Just search Magical Inflatables and it'll pop right up. Send a message and they usually respond within the hour. They use all natural cleaning products on all of their inflatables, deliver, set up, and take down. But the best part, they bring them in the morning and pick up in the evening. So that's right. No 2-hour time limits. You get to use it all day long. So days fill up really fast on their schedule. Contact them now. If you want to use the promo code podcast, you're going to get 10% off any inflatable rental. So once again, that's Magical Inflatables. Use the promo code podcast. Now back to the show. Yeah, and it's a beautiful site, and it is super easy to navigate. And just to be clear with everybody listening, www.backroadbluegrass.com is the blog site.
Yes.
It's beautiful, easy to navigate. So yeah, I use that interactive map as well when I was on there, which works great. So it didn't even dawn on me, like if you're going to see a ball game or something, let's say you've got a child that's going to Western Kentucky University, and you just don't know the area that well, you could just click on, like you were saying, the western part of the state, and
Hmm.
just kind of get a roadmap of what you could do or where you could go and stuff. So it's great in just a travel sense. But you've also got kind of just some. The one I saw that I sent to my wife was a girls' day in Georgetown, because we live in Georgetown,
Hmm.
and so it's kind of like a story / adventure that you go through as well with that stuff. So it's really interesting. It's almost, with your art background, it's kind of almost like a book, like a story in a way, you're writing.
Hmm. Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's meant to intrigue you and interest you and really inspire you. Um, we have tourism agencies that are designed to bring people into Kentucky, and I love that. That's awesome. I've always had kind of a goal in my mind to encourage Kentuckians to explore their own backyard.
Hmm.
Um, you can, I don't know, when people, they're like, oh, I'm going to go on vacation. And they're not thinking within Kentucky. They're thinking, we're going to take a long drive. We're going to get on a plane. We got to book this and that. And you factor in COVID and you factor in gas prices. I'm just like, stay in Kentucky. We have
Yeah.
so much to offer. I mean, so much to offer. And you can go to a different town and you won't feel like you're in Kentucky. You may even feel like you're not in the United States in some of these places.
Exactly.
Just enjoy it and keep your money, in our
Sure.
community, and support these families that have struggled, whether it was due to COVID or whatever. Just keep some of our money within, Kentucky is kind of what I'm trying to encourage people to do.
Yeah, and you are a great, just from the blog itself and then your creative market, which we're going to get to here in a second. I mean, you're a huge supporter of local business, which is just, that's something that really separates this state apart from other places. So I mean, it's not like people don't need to expect to get on the blog and you be like, oh, go to this Applebee's, it's a good one. Like, it's all local small community businesses that you're posting about and stuff, and it's
Hmm.
and that's just something different from when I've lived out of state. Maybe Alabama's kind of the same way, that it's, our shop local and visit Lex and all that kind of stuff. Like, everyone is very into the local market here.
Hmm. Yes, I one little silver lining, I think, perhaps with COVID was more shopping local.
Mm-hmm.
And so I am happy to jump on that train and keep that moving.
Absolutely.
Because that was one good thing that happened out of that was, support our local businesses and keep them going and
Right.
help them out.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Well, let's move on. You do the Bluegrass Creative Market, which is overall Southland Drive.
Hmm.
It pops up quarterly. Can you kind of talk a little bit about that and exactly what that is? You've got an event coming up.
Yes, sure. So that is as you mentioned, quarterly. It is a Kentucky made market. So it's Kentucky artists, Kentucky makers. We are on Southland Drive. It's 326 Southland Drive. It's actually the Alika Shriners, and we
Oh
are
yeah.
inside and outside. So some people don't realize that we're inside too,
Oh
but we've
wow. No,
got their whole 8,000 square foot ballroom
that's
filled up.
a huge building.
Yes, with our makers. So when you see our food trucks out there and our bouncy houses out there,
Yeah.
stay inside and then stay outside and then come inside also. And it's a little bit of everything. And this is our holiday market. So we have our holiday market early. It's November 5th and 6th. It's Saturday and Sunday from 10 until 3 p.m. And we do it early because December is crazy. No
Yeah.
matter who you are, it's just
Yes. Yes, it is.
crazy. So we try to just, kind of get that little jump start on your shop local for the holidays. And we just have everything. I mean, we've got bath and body, candles, woodworking. Um, we have soft lines, t-shirts. I mean, and we have food items, of course. We have live music. We're gonna have a little elf running around, encouraging you to take some
Oh no.
photos for
Oh
that.
wow.
Yeah, so there's just gonna be everything, pet products. So what we like hope people will do is like shop here
Hmm.
and kind of get their local shopping done first before they kind of run on to Amazon or something else to finish up, so
Sure.
that
Yeah.
they're spending their dollars locally. That would be wonderful.
Yeah, and it's some there. Being to stuff like this before, it's always amazing to me. Me and my wife have gone to events like this, and we've probably been to this one before in the past. And you don't even have to know what you're looking for. If you just want to go walk around and just see what some people can do,
Hmm.
just artistically and creatively, it's amazing what some people just have the mindset to do and how they can picture stuff, and then also incorporating Kentucky in that as well. It's
Hmm.
really neat. So even if go in there with an open mind and don't say, "Well, I'm specifically looking for this," because you're going to have way more fun if you go walk around and just look at everything inside.
Yes, absolutely.
So how long have you all been doing that?
So we are in our second year as of this summer. We started during COVID, which was interesting,
Oh, I bet. I bet.
to say the least.
You didn't see that coming, did you?
Yeah, well, it was after COVID started that I was already thinking about it, but
Yeah.
COVID started and I was like, I just have to do this. I have to do it anyway. I'm just doing it despite
Sure.
COVID. And no one knew how long,
Yeah.
the
Right.
COVID
Yeah.
thing
Yeah.
was going to go.
Right.
But, the more makers and artists and people that I met, they were like, I got laid off. I got my
Mm.
hours cut. I don't have a job. And so I'm kicking in this creative aspect, hoping,
Mhm.
to make ends meet. And that gave me even more passion to
I
be
bet.
like, yes, I have to make this happen now. This is the best time to make this market happen. So they gave me the motivation that I
Sure.
needed to be like, okay, this is what is meant to happen right now.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it, especially being every 4 times a year for the past 2 years. It sounds like it's done great and done really well. So thank goodness you did just kind of kick it into gear and get it done. Get
Yes,
it
thank
going.
you.
So
Yeah, it used to be Sunday only, and now we're Saturday and Sunday. So we're definitely growing. We're growing our numbers. So all that is great stuff.
well, that's what I was going to ask you. How many vendors did you say you usually get or that you're looking at this year?
It's anywhere from we usually have around 50. It can get up to 65 or 70. The weather is always an issue since we're
Sure.
partly outdoors. So yeah, it's a nice big market. There's plenty to choose from.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Well, I'll put links to all of that in the show notes. And just for
Thank you.
anyone that's there or looking right now, so your blog on Instagram and Facebook is at Bluegrass Blog. Pretty simple.
Yep.
And then for the market itself, it's at is it I have C Bluegrass underscore creative underscore market. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
And that
That will.
C is before bluegrass. That's very important. So
Oh, no, there's no C.
oh, no
Just
C. I wrote it down wrong. Okay, I'm sorry. At
sorry.
bluegrass underscore creative underscore market. So
Yes,
got it.
yes.
And
And if
I'll
it,
oh good.
our market is full on the inside, but if they happen to need an outside space, we're Bluegrass Creative Market at gmail.com. Um, so yeah, we'll be doing it again next year. We're pretty full for this market, but next year we'll start again in April and make it happen over.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I'll put the correct links on there in the show notes so everybody can see that. So
Thank you.
yeah. So what's going back to kind of the blog and your history with it, is there any places that stick out to you or anything that you're like, I could do this over and over again, or is there anything specific?
Well, I'm always drawn to small towns. And if someone asks me what my favorite small town is, it's like that's like asking me who my favorite child is.
Yeah, that's hard to do.
Yeah, but I mean, different things at different times. I will say Cynthiana for the fall
Mm,
is crazy awesome.
yes.
Visit Cynthiana. They've got the ghost walks, they got the witch walks, they've got special things happening all around town. Cynthiana is always awesome for that. And I recently did a blog about that so you can see their fall schedule.
Oh, great.
Um, oh gosh, there's so many great small towns. Midway is awesome. I just did a
Mm,
couple blogs about that. I'm getting ready to do an influencer event there. Paris is actually in the middle of painting a new Secretariat mural.
oh, neat.
So there's cool things going on there. Georgetown, as you know, is wonderful. And I just got a little hint that there's a new distillery coming to
Yeah.
Georgetown,
I think I kind of know what you're alluding to. So,
which is very exciting.
yeah.
If you're into bourbon or bluegrass, go to Owensboro. Everywhere is art, but Berea is great for art. Paducah is great for art. There's just, and if you like hiking, oh my gosh,
Oh,
I could go on and on. Yeah, I can't
I
limit myself to
I think
like, my favorite place.
that's Well, I'm gonna let everybody know before we started, I kind of said I'd ask you this, and you were like, okay, that was the one
Yeah.
thing you were like, oh man, that's gonna be a tough one to answer.
And
But
it's
it's
going to take me 20 minutes to answer it, but
That's
yeah.
all right. That's all right. And you mentioned the hiking, which I'll be honest, I've got 4 kids. We do not go out hiking. We probably should wear off some of their energy, but we don't do it. But
Yeah.
that is something I didn't know until just a few years ago. I had a lot of friends that I would see doing it. And that
Mhm.
is something that Kentucky, I think, is just got so much of that not a lot of people realize is just the trails and the hiking, just
Mhm.
all over the place. It's really interesting. I just didn't know that was more of a thing than it is. So,
Oh, it's wonderful. We have incredible hiking. Of course, Red River Gorge is probably the most
mhm.
prominent area that we have. But I will say on my blogs, especially for hiking, I try to say whether it's dog friendly on leash, whether it's kid friendly. So you're able to look that up, and I'm not going to send your kids up, a cliff.
All right.
So I try to help people out with that and just
Sure.
kind of give whether it's a moderate trail or a hard trail and which trail to take if you're interested in this or do you want to cross water. I always like to cross water. I don't know. I love walking in water. Um, or whether you're going to see a waterfall. Sometimes that depends on the time of
That's
the year. So
right.
all of that I try to incorporate.
That's great. That's great. Well, tell me, so you've got some giveaway or you've got a giveaway coming up. You just had one, and you've got another one
Mhm.
coming up. Is that right, in November?
Yes, I typically most of the time do my giveaways on my Instagram at Bluegrass Blog. But follow me there. I do giveaways once or twice a month, and they're really, really good giveaways,
Oh
I have
yeah.
to say. Because a lot of times I've blogged about a small town, and so I'll get a B&B involved, and a restaurant involved, and
Oh
a
my goodness.
store involved, and my giveaways can be anywhere from $200 to $600 in
Oh wow.
value. So,
That's incredible.
yeah, and it's just to encourage people, to go there and see what's going on. But so yeah, I just finished a $200 downtown shopping midway giveaway.
Oh wow.
But coming up, I've got a Friendsgiving giveaway, which is, kind of the new thing. You can't
Yeah.
always be with your family. Well, it's either. It doesn't matter. Family,
Right.
friends, who, whatever. So I'm partnering with the Futile Bakery in Lexington and for real cheesecakes. And
Oh,
she was just on a local TV program and she's doing a blog now. Her cheesecakes are not like anything you've ever seen. Go to her site, look at For Real Cheesecake. She's got a cheesecake with a turkey leg sticking out of it.
uh,
She bakes cheesecakes within pumpkins. She's very,
oh my
very
gosh.
creative
Oh,
with her cheesecakes.
I'm not a big dessert guy, but that's my weak spot is cheesecake. I could just all day long. So that
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to follow her, and
Yes.
that's not gonna be good
Even
for
if you go savory, even if you go
me.
savory, you can still have a turkey leg cheesecake. So,
What does a turkey leg not go good with? So,
yeah, right.
so
Yeah, and we're doing a charcuterie in there too. So it's just a little, get together, bring your friends, and have these, local makers make something delicious for your
that is
Friendsgiving or Thanksgiving.
that is also so people need to follow you on Instagram for
Yes,
to get the information on those. So
yes,
make
absolutely.
sure you are following her on Instagram, people. And then you also do, and we'll touch on this, some influencer events. Can you explain that a little bit?
Sure. So it's really just another leg of, how do we get people into small towns? How do we get them shopping local? So I have just a big list of Kentucky influencers. And actually, we go outside of Kentucky and do Southern Indiana and Cincinnati
Mm-hmm.
to bring them into a small town and visit it. So Midway happens to be the next one on November 12th that we're doing a business hop. And
Oh,
so
great.
we'll go to probably 6 different businesses and they show up and they get a margarita and then we start shopping and we talk about different stores and we have a little snack here and we get a treat there and we get a gift certificate here. But the gist is, if you're a local Kentucky influencer, we want to have you in the Kentucky Creatives group. and you can be a part of these events. So it just brings more people into different towns. We just did one in Cynthiana. So we did because they're so big into fall, as I mentioned. So we just did
Right.
a business hop there, and then our next one is Midway. So yeah, it's fun. It's really a lot of fun to do that.
Great. I bet that I bet that is a lot of fun. Once the margaritas start going,
Right.
my wife will want to be in on that. The margaritas and the shopping, sign her up. She's all good for that. So,
Yeah.
well, Marie, thank you so much for being on here. Is there anything else you wanted to mention, or any emails or links or anything that we haven't talked about yet?
I think you've kind of covered everything on Bluegrass Blog on Instagram and Facebook, and the Bluegrass Creative Market pops up 4 times a year. Those are the biggest things to follow and just keep up with what's going on around the bluegrass.
That is awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. We're definitely going to have you back again because, like you said at the beginning, stuff's changing, especially in these small towns a little bit.
Hmm.
So we'll have to have you back on and see what's kind of, going on down the road and stuff like that. But everybody, once again, I'll have links to everything that we've talked about on here in the show notes. That way you can follow Marie and be in with her giveaways for the Friendsgiving coming up. And as we get closer to the Bluegrass Creative Market, Marie, we will we'll put some more stuff out on our Facebook and Instagram as well, and probably mention it on a future podcast as well, since it's a little over. We're coming up pretty close, so
Yes,
uh,
pretty close.
yeah, golly, this year is flying by. So we'll make sure to remind people about that when it's coming up, and I'll definitely have to come see you over on November 5th or 6th over at the market, and say hey.
Yes, please.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you.